Om Namo Vishwa Prabodhaya Namo Bhrajishnu Jishnave Jyotishe cha Namastubhyang Jnanarkaya Namo Namaha. Salutations to Thee, the Awakener of the universe. Salutations to Thee, the resplendent and the glorious. Salutations to Thee, the being effulgent. Salutations to Thee, the light of knowledge. Good morning. Today, the title of the lecture is He that tilleth his land. These words is taken from the Proverbs section of the Old Testament. He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough. It suggests that pointless activities take away from one's ability to prepare for the future. Wasting time brings a lot of nothing or extra need, and this a lot of nothing or extra need can poison our effectiveness, both materially and spiritually. The industrious farmer enjoys a more abundant harvest and plenty of food. Enthusiastic spiritual seekers, like alert farmers, are also able to utilize time to fulfill their life goals. These proverbs are not ordinary. These are the concentrated form of the immense wealth of knowledge and experience that the human race has acquired generation after generation. Those ancient people may be physically gone from this world. Their names may be lost, but we can feel their presence in these proverbs. Their perceptions, their understanding of their entire lives is left behind on earth through these proverbs. It is not that they are unrelated to us. They are our own ancestors. The portion of Proverbs from which we have chosen today's passage has many beautiful teachings, such as, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." Again, "Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips." When the righteous triumph, there is great glory, but when the wicked rise, people hide themselves. Or the last one maybe, "Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit. So he who wants on his master will be honored." But we have chosen this one particularly because in connection with it, we have found that many saints throughout the world have used this particular type of metaphor, the metaphor of farming. All of them noticed a strange similarity between farming and the spiritual world. On both sides, you have seeds, soil, water, self-effort, and though undesired, weeds. And there is a saying, "Good husbandry is good divinity." We have lived with nature since our birth. Human intelligence develops from our emotional bond with nature. From the moment man first opens his eyes in the morning, he establishes his connection with nature, and this contact with nature continues until he closes his eyes at night after a long day's weariness. With the experience gained as a result of the uninterrupted emotional exchange with the external nature, he enters another nature with an inquisitive mind. The name of this nature is Antaha Prakriti, the inner nature. A person becomes an expert in whatever he concentrates on. We common people are not as aware of our inner nature as we are of our outer nature. But those who have shown people the path of knowledge throughout the ages were well versed in the knowledge of inner nature as well as outer nature. Having had an incomparable taste of inner life, they also wanted the people around them, their next generation, to share this priceless knowledge or realization. But people who are not experienced enough in the inner nature do not understand it easily if one talks about it directly. A lot of spiritual discussions revolve around abstract concepts and ideas. Because of this, some people avoid them as impractical or unhelpful. So those teachers had to communicate in a way that would resonate with common people. When these truths corresponded with things from their daily lives, like farming or traveling, common people understood. So we see that almost all the great teachers in the history of the world have taken the help of parables or metaphors to explain their sermons. By adopting the advice and teachings of those great men, even today we find inspiration to live our lives to the fullest extent. Around 10,000 or 12,000 years ago, when the human race, apart from hunting, first started farming on the earth, a profound intimacy of humans with agriculture began. They found that mysterious seeds, tiny shaped, fell on the ground, made friendship with rain or river water, and burst forth into hunger-dissipating new crops. The field was full. The farmer smiled. Connecting this incident with eternal truth, a poet of Maharashtra in South India wrote in Marathi, Adhi बीज एकले, बीज अंकुरले, रोप बाढले, एका बीजा पोटी, तरु कोटी कोटी, जन्म घेती सुमने फळे, व्यापुनी जगता तू ही अनंता, बहुविध रूपे घेसी, परिअंती ब्रह्म एकले. Its meaning, initially, there is only one seed. The seed germinates, the plant grows. From one seed come millions of trees, come millions of flowers and fruits. You have occupied the whole universe. You alone take various forms, O Infinite, take various forms, but still there is only one Brahman. Although the Supreme Truth presents itself in infinite forms, the underlying principle is one. Here Brahman is thought to be the seed of the world, from which the numerous varieties of this infinite universe are created. It is not only a poetic imaginary. The Lord himself said in Bhagavad Gita that he is the seed immutable. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanang surit prabhava pralayasthanam nidhanam bijam abbayam. I am the goal, the supporter, the Lord, the witness, the abode, the refuge, the friend, the origin, the dissolution, the substratum, the storehouse, and the seed immutable. The worldly seed is born from a tree and gets destroyed after giving birth to a tree. But both these faults are not in me. I am eternal, that is, I am not born and I remain the same even after creating infinite creations. That's why I am the imperishable seed. There are more instances where the supreme cause of the universe has been called as primal seed. The following one is connected with Sri Ramakrishna. We find in Gospel, one day many devotees came to meet Sri Ramakrishna. Devotional singing and dancing were going on. Thus dancing, as usual, Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. M., the recorder of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, wrote, standing transfixed, he looked like a picture on canvas. Kedar, another disciple, repeated the following hymn to bring his mind down from the plane of Samadhi. Hridaya kamala madhe nirvishesham niriham harihara vidhivedyam yogi bhir dhyana gamyam janana marana bhiti bhrangshi satchit swarupam sakala bhuvana bijam brahma chaitanya mire. Sakala bhuvana bijam, the primal seed. We worship the Brahman consciousness in the lotus of the heart, the undifferentiated, who is adored by Hari, Hara, and Brahma, who is attained by yogis in the depths of their meditation, the scatterer of the fear of birth and death, the essence of knowledge and truth, the primal seed of the world. Again, we find in the meditation mantra of Shiva the same kind of idea. It says, Om Dhayan Nityang Maheshang Rajate Girinibhang Charu Chandra Vatangsang Ratna Kalpa Jwalangang Parshu Mriga Barabhiti Hastang Prasannam Padma Sinang Samantata Stutam Amra Ganir Vyagra Kriting Vasanang Vishwadyang Vishwa Bijang Nihila Bhayaharang Panchavaktrang Trinetram. Let one constantly meditate on the great Lord Shiva, who was existing before the creation of the universe as the seed, Vishwadyam, Vishwabijam, who is like the silver mountain with the beautiful moon on his head, who surrounded by a group of praising immortals, is graciously seated on the lotus swearing, and with body brilliant with jeweled ornaments, hands holding an axe, a deer, the posture of bestowing boons and infusing fearlessness, and who is the remover of all fear. So, now when one has to meditate on the form, on that deity as well as his qualities. And what happens if you meditate? If meditated upon with love and adoration, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will manifest his real nature before the devotee. Now the word devotee, bhakta, we call in Sanskrit bhakta. Now the word devotee has a deep meaning. The word bhakta comes from bhakti. Who has a devotion means bhakti. He or she is a devotee or bhakta. What we mean by bhakti in the general sense is worshipping or praising God with devotion. But this word bhakti has another interesting meaning for those who follow the path of knowledge, the follower of Jnana Yoga. They have different kind of translation. They translate this one differently. They understand this word differently, but very interesting way. Etymologically, the word bhakti came from the Sanskrit root bhaj. And among many meanings, bhaj means seva also. Seva means service. But if you read that grammar, it says bhaj sevayam, and it used for seva. I will discuss about it, explain all those things. Here seva, this word seva means to assimilate. Like in the word aushadha sevanam, We call this Aushadha Sevanam. Have this medicine. Take this medicine. Aushadha means medicine. So Aushadha Sevanam here means take this medicine, means assimilate this medicine. You have to take medicine. So bhajan or worship means, according to the Gyanis or man of knowledge, is total absorption in divine consciousness, total assimilation in divine consciousness. Not seeking this thing or that thing from somebody. For them, the continuous thought of God is the real service of God. Tattva Chintanam. When you are doing Tattva Chintanam, actually you are worshipping Him for the Gyanis. They say it is not Sevanam or service to show humility by saying, Lord, save me, but that cogitation or Seva will be so profound that the sense of duality, that God is the master, I am the servant, this duality will no longer exist. This distinction will be removed. That's why it is called, in another word, Ananya Bhakti, means one-pointed devotion. Ananya means na anya, no, non-other, means non-different. One-pointed devotion means no second identity is there. Otherwise, just crying and saying, protect me, is not called real bhakti. Who will protect you or give something? You have drowned yourself in sorrow. Falsely, you consider yourself a little creature, unhappy and sad. So this is Gyanis' way. They exercise more self-effort, different kind of attitude. The same idea we get in Bhagavad Gita also, when Sri Krishna is saying, Uddharet atmana atmanam, natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva hyatmano bandhur, atmaiva ripuratmana. Raise yourself by yourself. Don't let yourself down, for you alone are your own friend. You alone are your own enemy. So, if a farmer thinks, I will make a plenty of crop and meditate, nothing will happen. So, self-effort. Self-effort is a common thing between this farming and spiritual world. We call it Purushakara in Sanskrit. Purushakara means self-effort. It has great importance for mental development, with which we have great confusion with self-surrender. Just look at a baby. When a little baby is born, we teach it self-reliance. We help it to build up its ego, its individuality, its physical, mental, and spiritual strength. We cannot teach the baby the highest philosophy of complete self-surrender. In fact, it starts its life with a complete dependence on nature. In the early days and months, physically, it is entirely dependent upon its mother. But the mother does not want this to continue further. She wants her child to be independent, self-reliant. She knows then only can it grow to its fullest stature. The mother says to a baby, try to stand on your own feet, so that its legs and feet become strong. That comes only from exercises in self-reliance and self-confidence. Through such exercise in self-reliance, we see the baby growing in physical strength and mental strength. And every time it grows in self-dependence and feels stronger in self-confidence, the mother feels happier and happier and encourages it more and more. She claps her hands when the child does something, and that encourages the child to further self-effort. That is how a child develops its sense of individuality. Thus, it unfolds its own potentialities. If you particularly note this truth about the training of a child, about its growth and development, then only can you understand how we, as children in religion, should proceed. When we are, similarly, only babies in spiritual life, We are taught by the Gita to depend upon ourselves, to be self-reliant. That is a significant truth which we often fail to recognize and act upon. That is why Swami Vivekananda presents the spirituality of self-effort as the central truth of his philosophy of man-making education or man-making religion. He says, what we want is muscles of iron and nerves of steel. We have wept long enough, no more weeping, but stand on your own feet and be men. It is a man-making religion that we want. It is man-making theories that we want. It is man-making education all round that we want. And here is the test of truth. Anything that makes you weak, physically, intellectually, and spiritually, reject as poison. There is no life in it. It cannot be true. Truth is strengthening. Truth is purity. Truth is all knowledge. We have two beautiful verses in our Indian tradition also. I think many of you know. Uddaginam purushasingham upaiti Lakshmi daivena deyamiti ka purusha vadanti daivam nihatya kuru paurasham atmashaktya yatne krita yadina siddhati kotra doshaha. So, Swami Turiyananda ji, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, like that, this one very much. And you can find in his letters, again and again, he's quoting these slokas. Lakshmi, what does it mean? Lakshmi, or the goddess of fortune, comes only to the industrious lion among men. It is only weaklings that say that we have to take what fate brings unto us. Forsake this dependence on fate and express your manliness through the strength of self-reliance. What harm is there if no results come after you put forth your endeavor? Another one. Uddamena hi siddhyanti. We read this one in, I think, 7th grade when we are studying in school. Uddamena hi siddhyanti karyani na manorathei nahi suktasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. It says, it is verily only through hard work that we accomplish what is to be achieved, not through vain daydreaming. No deer are going to oblige a lion and enter into its mouth while it is lazily asleep. That is the great lesson. Throw away your mental lethargy. Gain physical strength and mental strength. Develop your talents and capacities and work efficiency. Gain self-confidence, practice self-reliance, and earn knowledge and wealth by hard, honest labor, and share your wealth and happiness with others and earn their appreciation. That's what farmers do. They share whatever they gain from their field. Swami Vivekananda said, everywhere I go, people come and tell me, Swami, I want to renounce. I want to surrender everything to God. I just ask them, what have you to renounce? What have you to surrender? Neither a strong body, nor a trained mind, nor any talents, nor money in the pocket or the bank, nor a well-developed individuality. A Buddha could renounce. He had a kingdom to renounce and a fine youthful personality. You had a world of achievement ahead in his grasp to renounce. But what have you? We have to read carefully what is in our scriptures. The Lord said, it is in Gita, take refuge in me, renouncing all your dharmas. Or Jesus, come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavily laden. But if renunciation of all dharmas is the final consummation, there is a need for that earlier part of the fulfilling of all dharmas, the duties. That earlier part of the labor, that earlier part of the evolutionary struggle, that is essential. If one is to be able to enjoy and benefit from that lofty relaxation of self-surrender. So work hard, perform all duties, develop yourself, then come and surrender to the highest. Do a whole day's honest work, then sit and meditate, then resign yourself to God. Otherwise, that meditation has no meaning or value. Meditation at the end of a lazy day has no meaning, but the same at the end of an active day, filled with good deeds, has meaning and is rewarding. Therefore, men and women who have exercised their own powers and possibilities in the service of others and who feel like a chick that their erstwhile protective shell of individuality is choking them, is preventing them from their fullest unfoldment, to them comes this transcendental urge and vision of pure religion, namely complete self-transcendence in self-surrender. If to gain life we need strength, to renounce life we need greater strength. If to earn wealth we need strength, to renounce wealth we need greater strength. That is why divine grace and self-surrender and resignation to God in their true forms appear in spiritual life only when we have gained strength of character. It is the subtlest form of strength, known as strength spiritual, which reveals itself in men and women in the course of their spiritual growth. It is only when one cultivates that strength that he or she will experience the value of true freedom, the freedom of the spirit and true relaxation arising from emptying of self and filling in with God, resulting in spontaneity and naturalness as of a child. How beautiful it is to see the baby's smiling face when the busy mother finally picks up her little baby after so much crying. But before that, crying was very necessary for the child. This is the child's self-effort to climb into the mother's arms. We can only enjoy the joy of rest after hard work. Sri Ramakrishna was an excellent storyteller. Here is a story from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. At one time, there was a drought in a certain part of the country. The farmers began to cut long channels to bring water to their fields. One farmer was stubbornly determined. He took a vow that he would not stop digging until the channel connected his field with the river. He set to work. The time came for his bath. And his wife sent their daughter to him with oil. It's Indian context. they message oil before taking bath and go to some pond or river. So you have to keep it in mind. So the wife sent their daughter to him with oil. Father, said the girl, it is already late. Rub your body with oil and take your bath. Go away, thundered the farmer. I have too much to do now. It was past midday, and the farmer was still at work in his field. He didn't even think of his bath. Then his wife came and said, why haven't you bathed? The food is getting cold. You overdo everything. Common complaint. You can finish the rest tomorrow or even today after dinner. The farmer scolded her furiously and ran at her, spade in hand, crying, what? Have you no sense? There's no rain. The crops are dying. What will the children eat? You will all starve to death. I have taken a vow not to think of bath and food today before I bring water to my field. The wife saw his state of mind and ran away in fear. Through a whole day's back-breaking labor, the farmer managed by evening to connect his field with the river. Then he sat down and watched the water flowing into his field with a murmuring sound. Sri Ramakrishna noticed that one, that murmuring sound also. This is the beauty. His mind was filled with peace and joy. He went home, called his wife, and said to her, now give me some oil and prepare me a smoke. different kind of you know what you call hubble bubble? Huh? Yeah, hookah. With serene mind, he finished his bath and meal and retired to bed, where he snored to his heart's content. The determination he showed is an example of strong determination and renunciation. Now there was another farmer who was also digging a channel to bring water to his field. His wife too came to the field and said to him, "It's very late, come home." It isn't necessary to overdo things. The farmer didn't protest much, but put aside his spade and said to his wife, "Well, I will go home since you ask me to." That man never succeeded in irrigating his field. This is a case of mild renunciation. As without strong determination, the farmer cannot bring water to his field, so also without intense yearning, a person cannot realize God. Without strong determination, it is really difficult to handle the numerous deception of mind. Holy Mother Sarada Devi used to say, sharing her early days at Dakshineshwar, the mind naturally tends towards evil deeds. It is lethargic in doing good work. Formerly, I used to get up at 3 a.m. and sit up for meditation when she used to live in Nahabat. One day, I felt disinclined to do so on account of physical indisposition. That one day's irregularity resulted in the upsetting of my routine for a number of days. That is why I say that perseverance and tenacity are necessary for success in all good works. Hard work has a special value in life. When the sweat runs down the muscles of your arms all over your body, there is a different kind of joy in it. Swami Turiyananda used to say, but it does not mean that God can be realized by only sadhana, only your self-effort only. Sometimes he used to say, giving the example of Swami Vivekananda, that Swamiji used to say, Hari Bhai, Brother Hari, you may know, Turiyananda's pre-monastic name was Hari Prasanna. So he used to call Hari Bhai or Brother Hari. Do you think that God is like vegetables in the shop that you can buy with money, giving a certain value? But at the same time, Turiyanandaji would add that there is a deep need for tire the wings. Here he indicates the bird in the story told by Sri Ramakrishna, which once sat on the mast of a ship and did not notice when the ship left the river and fell into the sea. Later, when he tried to get back to his nest, he tried to fly gradually to the east, to the west, to the north, to the south, but finding no end of the sea, at last it sat down peacefully on the mast, finding the efforts futile. He had to tire his wings by flying again and again before he became peaceful. Similarly, before completely surrendering oneself at the Lord's feet, one must make every effort to attain him. Sri Ramakrishna's disciples got everything from him, the spiritual treasures, but still they had to make all those treasures through sincere tapasya, austerities. It is said that when Raja Maharaj, there was a conversation between Vijaya Krishna Goswami and Swami Brahmananda when he was, after passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Brahmananda, the first president of Ramakrishna order, and we call him the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna. He looks so alike with Sri Ramakrishna, and even Swami Vivekananda used to call him a spiritual dynamo. He is our Raja, king. So whatever. So Raja Maharaj Brahmananda, Swami Brahmananda was doing tapas, austerities in Vrindavan. So the great saint Vijaya Krishna Goswami, who had seen Raja Maharaj or Rakhal at Dakshineshwar and knew how he had been loved by Sri Ramakrishna, was at this time staying at Vrindavan. When he saw the severe austerities Brahmanandaji was undergoing, he asked him, "What necessity have you for so much austerity? Hasn't the Master given you all that is covetable in spiritual life?" To this, Rajamaj simply smiled and replied, "What I got from him, I want to make a permanent possession." So they have beautiful attitude. So Sri Ramakrishna also had to do arduous sadhana. He used to say, "Can one find God in the sacred books? By reading the scriptures, one may feel at the most that God exists. But God does not reveal himself to a man unless he himself dives deep. Only after such a plunge, after the revelation of God through his grace, is one's doubt destroyed. You may read scriptures by the thousands and recite thousands of texts, but unless you plunge into God with yearning of heart, you will not comprehend him. My mere scholarship, you may fool man, but not God." Scriptures and books, what can one achieve with this alone? Nothing can be realized without his grace. Strive with a longing heart for his grace. Through his grace you will see him, and he will talk to you. One must be very earnest about God. Listen to a song. Can everyone have the vision of Radha? Can everyone taste her love? This the rarest treasure of all, no earthly wealth can buy. Without devotions and sadhana, none can ever obtain it. The raindrop falling upon the deep, when Swati shines on high. Swati means who read Gospel Sri Ram, they may know. They're connecting some kind of that local belief kind of thing. A star called Swati, when it comes and it rains, and certain kind of creature that lives in the sea, they got that raindrop. So from that raindrop, it dives deep in the ocean, and thus that pearls come. So it is a folklore kind of thing. So he's saying, the raindrop falling upon the deep, when Swati shines on high, is formed within the oyster shell into a priceless pearl. Can such a pearl be formed from rain that falls at other times? Mothers with their babies in arms may beckon to the moon to leave the sky and come to them, but only the babes are fooled. Does the moon ever leave the sky and dwell upon the earth? One must practice intense spiritual discipline. Can one obtain the vision of God all of a sudden without any preparation? A man asked me, "Why don't I see God?" I said to him, as the idea came to my mind, "You want to catch a big fish. First, make arrangements for it. Throw spiced bait into the water. Get a line and a rod. At the smell of the bait, the fish will come from the deep water. By the movement of the water, you will know that a big fish has come. You want to eat butter, but what will you achieve by simply repeating that there is a butter in milk, there is butter in milk? You have to work hard for it. Only thus can you separate butter from milk. Can one see God by merely repeating, God exists, God exists? Milk must be turned to curd, and the curd must be churned. Only then will you get butter. So Mohimachan Chakraborty was present. He's that scholarly person, memorized many slokas, many verses. He wanted to show everyone that I am a scholar. So he's talking, strange person. Strange person, there's a funny kind of thing also. This Narendranath and other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna were very young by then, only just crossed their teens, so teenage. So one day they are discussing among them. I went to Mahima's house and saw their bookshelves are full of books. But I noticed many pages are there unopened. In new books, sometimes you find many pages are stuck together, So they're discussing among them. Anyhow, that Mohima Charan Chakraborty was present there. But of course, he's a good person also. He used to come to, but we have some kind of peculiarity we all have. So anyhow, Sri Ramakrishna was saying to Mohima, milk must be turned to curd, and the curd must be churned. Only then will you get butter. What a nuisance! Someone must show God to a man while he himself sits idly by all the while. Someone must extract the butter and hold it in front of his mouth. What a bother! Someone else must catch the fish and give it to him. Never possible, it is impossible. The Divine Mother herself practiced austere sadhana to set an example for mankind. It refers to the story from that Shiva and Sati. The Parvati had to do a lot of austerities. So he is mentioning that one. The Divine Mother herself practiced austere sadhana to set an example for mankind. Sri Krishna, who is none other than the ultimate Brahman, also practiced sadhana to set an example for others. Spiritual discipline is necessary in order to see God. I had to pass through very severe discipline. How many austerities I practiced under the bale tree, that southern side of Dakshineshwar temple. I would lie down under it, crying to the Divine Mother, O Mother, reveal thyself to me. The tears would flow in torrents and soak my body. Dive deep, learn to love God, plunge into divine love. You see, I have heard how you pray. Why do you Brahmas dwell so much on the glories of God? Is there such great need of yours saying over and over again, O God, you have created the sky, the great oceans, the lunar world, the solar world, and the stellar world? Everybody is wonderstruck at the mere sight of a rich man's garden house. People become speechless at the sight of the trees, the flowers, the ponds, the drawing room, the pictures. But alas, how few are they who seek the owner of all this? Only one or two inquire after him. He who seeks God with a longing heart can see him. Talk to him as I am talking to him, talking to you. Believe my words when I say that God can be seen. But, to whom am I saying these words? Who will believe me? There is a beautiful parable of Jesus regarding the scattering of seeds in the ground. He also mentioned, who have the ears to hear? A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. These avatars, incarnation of God, they come and they scatter, they spread the seeds. So some of the seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places. Where it did not have much soil, it sprang up quickly, because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no roots. Other seeds fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds fell on good soil. There it produced a crop 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. He who has ears, let him hear. Later, Jesus explained the meaning of this parable to his disciples. He said, listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The one who received the seed that fell on rocky places is the man who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since he has no root, he lasts only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. The one who received the seed that fell among the thorns is the man who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke it, making it fruitless, unfruitful. But the one who received the seed that fell on good soil is the man who hears the word and understands it. He produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Sri Ramakrishna's disciples belonged to this latter category and had such well-trained ears. They were able to understand the true meaning of God's words. Their hearts were like fertile land fit to produce good crops. There is an interesting conversation between Mahendranath Gupta and Sri Ramakrishna. So Sri Ramakrishna was asking Mahendranath Gupta, how do you feel about Niranjan? You may know Niranjan was a young boy who later took sannyasa and as Swami Niranjanananda. Sri Ramakrishna himself compared Niranjan's mind to fertile land here. So he asked what do you think of Niranjan? Replied, he is very handsome. Master, no, I am not asking about his looks. He is guileless. One can easily realize God if one is free from guile. Spiritual instruction produces quick results in a guileless heart. Such a heart is like well-cultivated land from which all the stones have been removed. No sooner is the seed sown that it germinates. The fruit also appears quickly. When Sri Ramakrishna disappeared, the great light disappeared, the lamps that had been kindled by it began to shed luster in innumerable places. Indeed, each monastic disciple of the Master became a center of wide influence and was instrumental in transforming hundreds of lives. Each one of them was a gigantic spiritual personality, superb in character, unique in achievement, and an asset to humanity. When one considers this, one wonders how so many almost superhuman characters could cluster together at one and the same time. Actually, truly, they are the true farmers who quench the dispels the spiritual hunger of the world, the divine farmer. But common people do not understand their immense contribution to human civilization. There is a story in the Gospel of Buddha. It says, Buddha the shower. The Bharadwaja, it says, Bharadwaja, a wealthy farmer, was celebrating his harvest thanksgiving when the Buddha came with his alms bowl. Some occasion was going on in his house, Bharadwaja's house. He found one shamana, one bhikshu, one monk. He came with his bowl in his hand, begging for food. Some of the people paid him reverence who saw that, who knew Buddha. But Bharadwaja was angry and said, O Samana, it is actually Shramana, we can in Sanskrit or Bengali, O Bhikshu, it would be more fitting for you to go to work than to beg. I plow and sow, and having plowed and sown, I eat. If you did likewise, you too would have something to eat. You need not to beg. Buddha answered calmly and said, O Bharadwaja, I too plow and sow, and having plowed and sown, I eat. Bharadwaja replied, do you profess to be a husbandman, a farmer? Where then are your bullocks? Where is the seed and the plow? Show me. Buddha said, faith is the seed I sow. Good works are the rain that fertilizes it. Wisdom and modesty are the plow. My mind is the guiding rain. I lay hold of the handle of the law. Earnestness is my goad, and exertion is my draught ox. This ploughing is ploughed to destroy the weeds of illusion. I harvest it, yields is the immortal fruit of nirvana, and thus all sorrow ends. Bharadwaja understood. He poured rice milk into a golden bowl and offered to it to Buddha, saying, "Let the teacher of mankind partake of the rice milk, for the venerable Gautama ploughs a ploughing that bears the fruit of immortality." And another interesting thing to end before I end. We found one of the chapter, it is 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It names Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhaga Yoga. Yoga through distinguishing the field and the knower of the field. Where Sri Krishna is saying, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ittavidhiyate etad yovetti tang prahu kshetragya iti tadvidaha. This body, O son of Kunti, is called Kshetra, the field. And he knows it is called Kshetragya by those who know of them. And me, Kshetragyang chapi mang vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragyayor jnanam yat taj jnanam matang mama. Me, do you also know, O descender of Bharata, O Arjuna, to be Kshetragya, that is knower of field, in all Kshetras. The knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetragya is considered by me to be the knowledge, the true knowledge. Sri Ramakrishna used to sing a song to explain how to cultivate this Kshetra, this physical body, how to make proper use of this body. This song is very beautiful. We want to conclude our discussion today with this song and little prayer. So in Bengal it is like that. Monere krishi kaj janona, emon manob jomin roilo potit abat korle folto shona, kali name daore bera ফসলে তোছরূপ হবে না, সে যে মুক্ত কেশিরে শক্ত বেড়া তার কাছেতে জম ঘেঁষে না. And it continues. Let us go to the translation so that everyone can understand. O mind, you do not know how to farm. Fallow lies the field of your life. If you had only worked it well, how rich a harvest you might reap. Hedge it about with Kali's name, if you would keep your harvest safe. This is the stoutest hedge of all, for death himself cannot come near it. Sooner or later will dawn the day when you must forfeit your precious field. Gather, O mind, what fruit you may. Sow for your seed the holy name of God that your Guru has given to you, faithfully watering it with love, and if we should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help. Ram Prasad is the poet who wrote that one. So let us end today's talk with a prayer. Ja eko varno bahudha shakti yogat varnan anekan nihitartha dadhati nichaiti chante vishwamado sadevaha sano buddhya shubhaya sangyunaktu. May he, the one without a second, who, though formless, produces by means of his manifold powers various forms without any purpose of his own, from whom the universe comes into being in the beginning of creation, and to whom it returns in the end, endow us with good thoughts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.